live. Okay, I can see you. I can see you.
But then, okay, I hope that people are gonna see that
Yo. Okay, I can see someone joining in. So did it give you an option of having me in the waiting room?
So it gave add guests, I think.
Okay.
And then should I share a link or share on WhatsApp, and then I shared. And then when you press on the link, it showed on my side that you want to join, and then I did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because okay, so we've got about 45 people that have kind of joined us now. Okay, and I'm hoping that they'll be able to see. I mean, we had close to 100 people. I hope that they'll be able to come and join us here. Hey guys, hey guys, hey guys. Now I'm being hosted. How the tables have turned. Okusalayo, we are live, ne? Right. So this technology can really play around with us. Okay, so I'm going to hang up here. Can you hear me? Okay. So for some reason, okay, are you able to hear me? Ooh, I can't hear you. Yes. Okay. If you can tell me, okay, can you guys hear me at least? Andy, we can't hear you. I can't hear you. Okay. Okay. We can hear Malume, so hey, I'm good on my side. Please just press something there. Guys, please, I hope that you're patient with us. You know, this technology is showing us flames. I had to hang up in the last live. I hope that you know, those that are following my channel, not following hers, are still able to see. Yeah, so we're just trying to figure it out. Please just be patient. Come on. Oh my. Oh my, this thing is letting us down. So I'm not sure now how to continue with this. They say press on your screen. Okay, are there any options there? Eish. I'm not sure who allow is, but you are saying technology, ne? It really is showing us flames today. Okay. You know what? Can you hear me? Andy, can you hear me? Okay, I think you are neither able to hear. Okay, so she's ended the live. Yo, guys, technology is showing us flames today.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yay! Finally!
Yo, what a stress. I had to join again.
Finally.
All right, did I miss anything? Because I could see you were talking, but I couldn't hear anything.
Like it says, devil is a liar.
You guys were praying, yeah?
All right. Hey, how you doing, Andy?
I'm good. I'm just exhausted.
No,
yeah, it's kind of hectic, yeah.
No, you don't look it. You don't even look half exhausted.
Yo.
You look so energetic.
They say fake it till you make it. I'm using my last energy of the week on you guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for, now you are hosting me. So thank you for being hosted on your channel. And I just wanted us to have a conversation, and this is just going to be a conversation, right? So as serious as you look right now, I hope that you have your casual demeanor on, yeah. So firstly, I want this to be as conversational as possible, and please, you guys can send as many questions as you possibly can. So for me, I just wanted us to have a conversation about post prelims. You've been at school. Hey, I don't remember when the last time I was at school, so please, you shouldn't ask me anything.
Me too. You shouldn't ask me anything. I'm joking.
But okay, so here's what I want to ask. Perhaps before we get into the conversation, you seem like you've got everything figured out. You are about to become, you are about to become Dr. Andy. Like, your channel is becoming, but now you are about to become. How do you feel? Like, it's challenging. Huh?
Wow. It's been a journey. It's been a journey. I get that question quite a lot from my followers as well. A lot of people say, "Oh, that was quick," But the thing is, I started like YouTube just about 2 years ago and met school about 6 years ago before that. So it's like you guys are obviously saw me now towards the end, but I've already started this journey before I started my YouTube channel. Yeah. So it didn't go as quick as it looked. Okay. And also, in these videos and in these vlogs, I show I can say the glamorous part of it, but all the work is behind the scenes. So, first of all, it's exciting. That's the first feeling that I have. But also, this year has been very hectic. So it's been very overwhelming. They expect a lot from you. It's a final year. They want you to know your work and all of that. So I've been kind of like finding it hard to balance between, creating content and actually studying and, doing my clinical work. So, yeah, but other than that, I'm very much happy to be finally, done with this tiring journey.
Okay. Tina, we are excited. By the way, I'm sure it isn't just my sentiment alone. You're such an inspirational figure. I want you to know that. For us, watching you and your journey is really inspiring. And as I was saying, it looks like you've got everything figured out. Content creation.
It's not even close. Not even close.
But for some reason, as I said, we've enjoyed the journey. Apologies, I just seem a little bit distracted, Konamanja, because I'm trying to also get a shot of us live for the first time. So honestly speaking, I just wanted us to have a conversation, and I hope that really this conversation is able to help as many people out there as possible, particularly around, prelims have just come and gone, and people perhaps some have done well, some may have not done well, and the finals are coming up. Exam stress is really at its height right now. So tell me, what would have been the best advice that you would give someone, that are between this transition now from the prelim going into the final. By the way, some of them are going to listen to this later.
Obviously. Later in a year's time.
Yeah, no, well, some perhaps in a year's time, but
because I'm seeing grade 11s here, so
yes,
I'm like,
yes. I think grade 12s have gone for their matric dance. Some of them have gone for a matric dance today. So yeah. So what would be kind of the best advice that you'd offer?
So the thing is, what I've noticed when it comes to advising people is that everyone has like a different need at this point. So there's not really like a one size fit all advice. Because I'm thinking, the 150 people who are here, they're struggling with different things. Some are struggling with time management. Some are wondering, is it even worth it for me to go camp at school? Some are wondering, how can I ace, English because I've aced the other subjects. There are a lot of things. Some want to know how to tackle past papers. So I think it would be nice for me to leave it to the people in the comment section to pose a question and then ask me advice so that I give you guys advice that's fit for your situation right now. Because me saying like, oh, study harder, do this, do that, you probably have heard this a lot, a lot of times, and you've watched my videos and all of that. But right now you might have that burning question that you've been struggling with this thing for, the past 3 terms, and right now you just want to know how to tackle it. So write down in the comments right now. Let's just tackle one topic at a time. Maybe what you struggling with, maybe 50 other people are struggling with as well, so that we give advice that's fit for the people that are watching right now. So I think I think we can start there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll look out for the comments. But I really wanted perhaps maybe to touch on just the general stuff.
Okay. Okay. So
let's say
general
right
stuff.
now. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
So what worked for me in terms of preparing for final exams was starting with past papers as soon as possible, because doing past papers give you like a full idea on how your exam is going to look like, right? So if you're going to do past papers, for example, for the past 10 years, it's doable. You get different ways in which they test different questions, that when you get to the exam, you've seen this way that they've tested the question. It's just that now they've used different values, right? So that was my experience, that in the exam I didn't find any question that was shocking, because for physical sciences I knew that for this topic these are all the number of ways they could test this question. So I was able to practice all the ways that they could test the question. And then when you get to the exam, you're like, I think I saw this, this question somewhere. And actually, in some exams, I think it was my trial exam, they had a question repeated from a past paper that was from like Limpopo or something. So doing past papers, not only just like the national past papers, but also provincial past papers, you can find that they pick questions from there and then they repeat them.
Yeah, actually, that's quite a great point, because remember that some of the examiners are actually from that particular province, right? Yeah, so obviously it makes sense that, at least if we knew where they are from, then at least we could say, hey, do the state ones. Yeah, but you're quite right.
The way here in university, the way they do it is they have a question bank, and I think maybe also in high school there is a question bank, because they can't, it's not like every year they invent a new way of testing questions. I feel like they have a form of sort of like a question bank that they have, that these examiners have, and then they sort of like pick from that question bank, that this year we're going to pick this kind of question, this kind of question. So if you have done past papers for maybe the past 10 years, you have most likely explored their question bank, right? So now you might find that they are testing a 2010 question in different values. So that's why it's important for you to like do the past papers, not only just national, do final, trial, the June exam papers, and even the March exam papers. Those ones are useful when you're trying to understand the topics. Because when it comes to March exam papers, you find that the topics are few, but then it's still a paper that's 100 marks, which means now for each topic, they are testing more questions. So let's say if you are struggling with functions and maybe functions is a term one topic, you'll find that in term one exam paper, there are a lot of functions questions in there. And then you can explore that compared to in a final exam, maybe the functions way less because now there are more topics. So if you want to practice certain topics that you're struggling with, check from which term they are in, and then take that past paper from that term and try tackling it from there. Yeah.
So the overarching point is that do past papers.
Definitely, definitely. That's how you can score 100%. That's how
Yeah.
they do it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
and I completely agree. So, I wanted to kind of go to this point. Perhaps someone might have written their prelims right now, né? And perhaps not have performed as well as they wanted to. Is there still hope for the finals?
You know what? I am not.
It's the way you rolled your eyes first.
It's because I got this question. I got these questions where I'm like, how do you guys think I know this thing? Someone will ask me, I've been failing for the past 3 terms. Will I pass my finals? I'm just like, I don't even know how your marks are looking like right now. But anyway, it's a fair question, and I think it's mostly driven by anxiety. You want to know, will I be able to make it or not? I mean, I think it depends on you. It depends on you as a person. Because me sitting here, I can't tell you you will make it, you can't make it. It depends on you. And the best way to start is why. Why am I getting these marks that I'm getting? Have I not been studying? Have I not been understanding? Have I not been taught the topics? Because it happens. Some schools at this point, they haven't taught you all the topics. And you wrote your trial exams with some topics you've never been taught. It's a thing. And then ask yourself, did I do past papers? And if I did past papers, what was I getting in those past papers? Because someone will tell you, I keep on doing past papers, but they don't help. It's because you get 40 over 150 in the past papers that you do. You get so you don't show a significant difference when it comes to your exams. So you just have to now ask yourself, am I not studying? Or if I'm studying, is it effective enough? Or am I not understanding? If I am understanding, am I applying this knowledge? Am I revising enough? So when you figure the problem out, we can then work a way forward as to how you can actually improve. But when at this point, if you are getting like below 50%, don't expect to get above 90% because it's a little bit unrealistic to now figure out all these topics. Yes, you can improve and go up
within
to
a short
70.
space of time, given the short space
Yeah,
of
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
And
It's a very short space of time.
I always say it's one should never undermine their ability or their capacity to learn, right? But in the same token, we also should be very realistic, around how much you can consume at this point in time, right? Of course, I mean, they always say Rome wasn't built in one day, as cliche as that can be, right? So I truly, truly, believe that. However, I also do want to say to those who might not have done well, that there still is an opportunity to improve. I remember there's a couple of kids that I was working with just last year, and some of them actually have written back. I actually met them at the University of Pretoria, and they were telling me how they discovered my channel, just at the last minute. However, they started working like tirelessly through the work there, and they were able to significantly improve. I mean, to the point some of them are actually even at varsity. So I'm trying to also say that we need to we need to manage expectations, but at the same time, not all is lost. There's still some space. There's still some opportunity, and certainly they need to maximize this opportunity, right?
Definitely, because what I can say is you can't use the same method that didn't work for you and hope for better results. So in the next
Isn't that
couple of
what Einstein
years,
said? Huh? That insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different
exactly,
results.
exactly, because
Huh?
at this point, you
Yeah.
should also see a huge difference in the way you do things,
Yeah.
right? That's going to tell you that, okay, I should expect different results because I have been studying, I have been understanding, stuff are starting to make sense. So
Yeah.
it's you also who should be able to predict. But if you still don't see any significant changes, or you are not making any significant changes in the way you study or your routines, then you are most likely going to get the same results.
The same results. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I have a learner right now. In fact, a parent just sent me a message. There's a learner that came during our winter camp, right? And she was being actually, the school was pushing her to actually drop maths as well as science and go into more the general subjects. I was very happy, Namhlanje, to actually get feedback from the parent to show, the improvement. So I started working with her during the camp, but I've also worked with her throughout, even after that. And she significantly improved. And so I still maintain, when I Andy, that, we should never undermine our capacity to learn. That even during this time, what you do with your time is very important. It's absolutely crucial. And people shouldn't, just expect that they'll just watch passively through YouTube and not do anything else to try and aid themselves. And for me, I think the other frustration is the people that who know the resources that are there. For instance, my channel, other channels are also available. Mine is not the only one. Who know of other resources. I mean, I've got camps that I host, but who would stay away and not even try and inquire and not take active steps towards helping themselves to improve, and yet, just like you said, doing the same thing that you've always done and still expect different results. So yeah, man. Aish. Yeah. Aish, I wanna touch on this point. Oh, do you understand?
Can I take a question? Because we've been
Okay,
getting a lot of questions in the
yeah, I
comments.
see them.
So
I
let's
see
just take
them.
one question at a time.
Okay.
The most common question is um, how to actually practice past papers. So one asks, do I practice the whole paper or per topic? I'm going to explain it briefly, but if you want an extended version, it's on my YouTube channel. I didn't make a video about that. So the way that I think is best when it comes to practicing past papers, it depends also on how far are your exams, right? And whether is the are you trying to revise the topic, or is it a topic that you already understand?
Yeah.
So, for an example, if you know that you do not know a certain topic, don't go to the past paper, start from the textbook and try and grasp the basics. And then try and apply the basics by using a past paper. Because if you just go straight to a past paper,
To a
you wouldn't
past
know what
paper,
you're
yeah.
doing.
You don't,
You're
yeah,
just
you're
gonna
not grasping.
guess,
Yeah,
and look at the
yeah,
memo and try and memorize from the memo. So
yeah,
if you do not know a certain topic, take your textbook, revise that topic, and then tackle a past paper.
yeah.
And what I like to do is that I like to do past papers topic per topic, because now you're gonna test yourself how much you understand the topic in the different angles that it gets tested. right?
Okay. Yeah.
Because if you do one set of questions from a certain topic and then you get 80%, maybe you understand the way they tested it now. But if they tested in a different angle,
in a
would you
different
be
manner.
able to understand it? Would you be able to answer the
So
question?
which means
You know,
it's conceptual understanding that's the problem. So you know how to answer a particular question, but you don't understand the concept itself.
Exactly. So that's why it's important that you do different past papers tackling the same topic.
Yeah.
You know, for example, if you doing number patterns, if I make an example, you can take a past paper from 2020, 2021, 2022, and then just tackle number patterns on the 3 different papers and see how you're doing with that topic. And also it helps with your memory retention, especially if you're gonna do this, for an example, in subjects that are theory based, like your life sciences, your geography. I used to use past papers as a question and answer bank in a way. So I would, for an example, take all the questions that they asked for a certain topic and compile a bank, like Q&A bank, so that now I know that they most likely gonna ask questions from the bank that I already have. Right. For example, life sciences, if they gave you this essay topic for this year, if you take like all the essay topics for the past 10 years, definitely I promise you one of
One of definitely.
you see, and now you would have a proper extensive answer according to the memo. When it comes to that's why the subjects like life sciences and geographies, you should be able to get a very good mark, because you don't have to necessarily apply new knowledge. Like if they ask you to label the eye, the same labels apply, it's just a way of you being able to memorize that. But then when it comes to subjects like maths and physical sciences, you need to be able to play around with the different ways they test the questions. So that's why you need to sit down and tackle at least a 3 set of different questions from different papers and see how you do from there. And then when now, let's say your exam is in a day or two, take a full paper that you've never done before, that you've never seen the memo, sit down and set 3 hours exactly and write like you're writing your actual exam. And also this, this is gonna help also people who have poor time management. If you're a person who writes very slowly, you usually don't finish your exams, this is gonna tell you that you should pick up your pace, So if like now it's your day before your exam or 2 days, take a full paper that you've never done, sit down, write from question 1 up until the end question, and then mark using the memo. That mark you're gonna get, I promise you, it's gonna be more or less what you're gonna get exactly from the paper that you're about to write. So that's how you can go about it.
Yeah, and I'm seeing quite a lot of people asking about maths and how to do Euclidean, how to crack Euclidean geometry and so on. And I think one thing that my channel does, you'll know this quite a lot. People always complain, "What my videos are quite long," and the reason is quite simple. Is because I don't just do surface level, stuff. But are you still there? Okay. Okay. All right. I think your network is picking up a little bit. Yeah, but the reason why the videos are quite long is because I take a deep dive into the topic. So, for instance, you would substitute perhaps something like a textbook with one of my videos, because I go into the actual conceptual understanding and then build it up to then doing past papers, right? Now, the unfortunate thing is that for me, I think what has been really said is that people come the day before the exam, dive into my channel and then complain. Give me a couple of complaints. Oh, but your videos are too long. I want to master this now. But
it's because they want a crash course.
Yeah, I want a crash course.
And
the thing is, there's none. If you want mastery of mathematics, you need to develop from conceptual understanding, just like you said, right to the point where you get to practice from past papers, and which I also cover, right? And what others do is that they would then, because I've got past papers that I've covered, they would use the channel with the past paper without necessarily sitting to do the question themselves, and then they want to just watch, and they hope that they're going to just
that's not how it works.
this thing. It doesn't work that way. So there are no shortcuts to this thing. Andy, another thing is just what I wanted to also invite people on is that, we've got a camp that's coming up as well. If for those that may be interested, they can also join us. But that's a maths and science, solely maths and science for now. Hopefully in future, we're going to have other offerings as well. Yeah, so maybe let's take another question as well.
There's someone asking.
I still have my own questions.
There's someone asking you what's your channel name, and I'm so shocked that there's someone who doesn't know our favorite uncle. So maybe you needed to introduce yourself.
Oh yeah, maybe.
I thought you didn't need an introduction.
Oh no.
And maybe tell them a little bit about your camp, because.
Oh yeah. So my name is Mlungisi Nkosi. I am a YouTuber, a math and science YouTuber. I do math and science content. Right now, perhaps from grade 10 to 12. I am still going to curate content for grade 8 and 9 as well. And next year, we are actually going to diversify the content quite a bit. So look out for those plans. For those of you who are struggling with maths and science, you can hop onto that channel. Just hit subscribe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
You forgot to say award-winning.
Oh, yeah. Award-winning.
Best teacher in the world.
Right there. That's a global award.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Okay.
Oh yeah. I've gotten quite a number of awards, and I'm grateful for that. Still humbled about it. And then for our camp, we've got a camp that's coming up on the 26th. It's starting from the 26th to the 28th. So we've made it 3 days for now. But we've got another one that's coming up in October. For those of you that may want to join us. The one that's coming up is solely for grade 11s and 12s, but we will have for grade 10s, grade 8 to 10 again later. So you can just follow me even on Instagram or all my other pages at _Mlungisi Nkosi on Instagram, or Mlungisi _Nkosi _center. So you can get all of that information as well. Right? Okay. But on YouTube, Mlungisi Nkosi.
That's perfect. That's a very perfect intro. Now we can get back to the questions.
Yeah.
I'm seeing questions about multiple choice. Multiple choice. So multiple choice. In high school, you would think that's the easiest way you score marks. Up until that's the hardest way you can actually score marks. But
can I say this? Can I say this? Sorry to interject. The first time in my life I got a 0 for an exam was in second year university, and it was a multiple choice only exam.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
I'm struggling to laugh because that's. I do understand. I do understand. It's not easy. Multiple choice is not easy because it's worse. The answer is looking at you right there. But the thing with physical sciences or even maths, multiple choice, is that you need to know the concept, right? You can't just, for example, read the question, look at the options, and be like, oh, I know it's exactly this. For example, life sciences, they can ask you which part of the body or whatever does this and this and that. From your knowledge, you could be able to see the 4 options and say it's definitely this. But with physical sciences, you actually have to do the calculation, right? If we are talking about a multiple choice that needs calculations, you actually have to do the actual calculation. So what you need to do is ignore the options that they're giving you, take the question as it is, calculate and find your answer, and then go back to the 4 options and see if your answer is there.
Yeah.
And it could happen that if you don't know the topic, you could get a 250, but the options are like 1, 3, 7, 11. So it's like, if you don't know what you are doing, it's gonna be hard. And then now you end up guessing and taking the highest number, which is 11.
They do this.
Oh, no. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work because with physical sciences, you need to, if they're asking you a question about forces and stuff, and they want to know what is the force, what is the speed, you need to know how to calculate that. You need to know how to calculate that and then go and find your answer. What I think is just ignore the options, because sometimes options can influence your calculations subconsciously. Because now you saw a 24, you're thinking, okay, my calculation should lead to a 24. But then what if the answer is actually the 6? That's also part of the options, you see? So that's what you need to do. Make sure that you do the answer the question on separate on the side, and then go back to the answers and see if your answer is there. If your answer is not there, which means your calculation was not right.
Sure.
But then when it comes to like things that need sort of like logical thinking, they have to do with theory, they have to do, especially chemistry, you have to read the question, make sure that you understand it, and then first thing you want to do in a multiple choice for whatever subject, crash out the option that appears to be the most wrong. Out of the 4 options, there's always one option that is definitely wrong. Like it's very obvious. If you know your work, is very obvious that this one is wrong. It's not possible that this could be the answer. And then there are 2 questions that now you have to have a certain piece of clue to kind of like say this one needs to fall and then that one needs to stay, right?
So the process of elimination. So
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
so
definitely.
We need to be able to eliminate the most incorrect and then work our way towards ones that look semi-correct until we get to the one that looks like it's the most correct answer.
Yeah. For example, a rough example, let's say we are dealing with a question that talks about friction and speed, right? If let's say now they're giving you a situation where they're like, does high friction or low friction, is it associated with a high speed or a low speed? And maybe half of that answer, that the answer should be, for example, low friction, like decreased friction is associated with a high speed. So when it comes to the 4 options, that the option that says increase, you need to crash out that option, right? And usually it will be maybe like 2 of the options are saying increase, and then the other side of it is like decrease or increase. I don't know if I'm making sense when it comes to those kind of questions.
You're absolutely making sense.
There are some questions where they're asking you, does this increase or does both of them increase, one decrease? But then you are sure about half of it. So now out of the 4 options, you need to eliminate the ones that saying decrease, because that the ones that are saying increase, because you know that it should be decreased. And then now you'd be left with 2 options at least to work with and try and figure out the other half of the question, if that makes sense. So that's another way you can look at it, especially in multiple choice that involve sort of like 2 answers where they want you to give is, does this increase, decrease, increase, decrease, that kind of thing. If you know half of it, at least you can eliminate answers that don't fit. Sometimes it becomes 3 of them that don't fit, and then you have your answer. Sometimes it's like 2 of them, and then you have to choose between the 2.
Yeah.
So
Andy, I've always said multiple choice is actually a good indicator of a good conceptual understanding. And for some of these questions that that they ask that involve calculations, please guys, and I'm sorry to say this, ne? I'm not ashamed to say this. I actually cover these quite adequately. So if people just go on to search, past papers that I've done, I take you through multiple choice sections, not so that you can learn how to do that particular question, but so that you can know how to answer similar questions as well. So I show you, I take you on a step-by-step, routine on how to answer that. So you are correct on that process of elimination. I want to, so that we don't make this too long, I think so for other stuff that they need, they can get on your channel. Your channel is a very good resource. I always talk about you to students. You're a good influential figure.
thank you.
I want to just touch on the issue of stress and anxiety. Because there are some people who would prepare for exams and tell you something like, I got there and stress got the better of me, right? How do they then manage this stress and anxiety going towards the finals right now? Perhaps they might not have performed that badly, but they realize, man, I actually prepared very well for my prelims, but when I got there, stress got the better of me. So how do I manage it? You don't need to go into details. And if there's a video that you can perhaps direct them to, please do so. But just touch on it a little bit.
Okay. I'm gonna sound like a doctor when I answer this, but when it comes to anxiety, firstly you have to look at the cause of the anxiety. Is this possibly a mental or medical problem that you have? Because sometimes there are people who suffer from anxiety disorders, that you're a person who has who gets panic attacks whenever there's an exam, whenever you have to do a speech in front of people, whenever you have to do something that gives you a lot of anxiety. There are people who suffer from panic attacks, and because you would think that's a normal thing, you wouldn't go to a doctor and try and get treatment for. But if you are that person that every time you get some panic attacks, like you get short of breath, you are sweating, you can't even do anything in your exam room, please do see a doctor, because there is medication to manage anxiety. Because there is anxiety that you can control within your means. The anxiety that a normal person would experience when they are writing an exam, or they have to perform in a certain way. But then there are anxiety disorders that we have to acknowledge that some people might have. So you don't want to just like downplay that when it comes to anxiety. So if you feel like your anxiety is like significant, isn't like it limits your performance, or it stops you from writing that exam completely, please go to a doctor right now, get assessed, and get your anxiety medication so that you are more calmer. And then now we can deal with the anxiety that everyone is supposed to feel when they're writing final exams.
AKA the butterflies in the stomach, right?
Yes. Usually there are different butterflies. The first butterfly is the one that we don't want, and it's caused by knowing that you don't know. When you like, oh my God, it's 3 weeks away from final exams and I still don't know this topic. That anxiety is cured by you studying, because it's caused by something. There's no motivation, there's no breathing exercise that's going to treat that one. if you know in your brain that I do not know Euclidean geometry and you dream about it, sit down and tackle Euclidean geometry. You know, you wake up from your sleep and you're dreaming about those circles. Sit down and tackle those circles, and you'll see once you understand that topic, all of a sudden you're more calmer. You know, your heart rate is now slower because you're not thinking about Euclidean geometry. So that's one. But also there's this anxiety of, am I gonna do good? Am I gonna do enough? That one, it's kind of like very difficult because it's you can't get rid of it. You know, you all have anxiety when it comes to writing
I think
exams.
every one of us has it, right?
Yeah.
Even before I had to get onto this live, I had that.
You had a little bit of anxiety.
Yeah.
So with that one, with that one, that's where we put in our breathing exercises. We put in prayer for those who believe in prayer. We put in exercise for those who find exercise calming. Take a walk.
Ooh, Dogotela, we are losing you. Eish, network yase Cape Town, guys. Ooh, you know not to go to Cape Town. Ne? Okay, I think we're losing our doctor. Lizard, he says, dreaming about circles. Hey! Oh, is it normal to feel dumb? Nokungomso. Yeah, all of us have got challenges there. But as I said, you need to work through that challenge. I think the best way to do it is just to make sure that you are as prepared as possible. Try to study, and it says host left. Sure, mathematics, gymnastics, yes. All right, let's see if we can get to Andy back. But if she's not able to, perhaps let me just also say, guys, thank you to all of you that are joining in. And I just wanted to say, please do note that we've got a camp that is coming up between the 26th and the 28th. It is both online and in person. And you can you can go to my channel just to see the description, or otherwise you can go to my social media handles. It's @_Mlungisi or Mlungisi_Nkosi_center. Yabo, welcome back. You should be welcoming me back. Yeah.
Sorry about that, but yeah, I was still talking about how you can manage your anxiety better. Like taking breaks is very important.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you've been studying the whole day, and then now there's this one question that you are struggling with, not because you do not know the topic well, but because you're exhausted, you're hungry, and now it's frustrating you that you can't solve this thing. You just need to take a break, go for a walk, come back, and then now you'll be able to think and apply your knowledge more. So yeah, that's how I can answer that question.
I think that's plausible. Andy, I don't want to make the assumption that it's only Abashana who have joined us, ne? They're just the learners themselves. But there could be parents, who are listening to this. How best do parents really support kids during this time, particularly as they go towards the fourth term? When just think of it. Don't think of yourself as a parent, but think of what would you like a parent to say or to do to support you.
Okay, I will tell you what my parent did. I think that's a perfect example. That's a perfect example.
Ne?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, my mom was like my biggest supporter, my advocator, and I'm gonna make multiple reasons. And I think parents will also I think they'll gain from the examples that I'm gonna make. So firstly, when I got to matric, my first of all, what I can say is your parent can see, that how dedicated you are, right? If you don't look serious, they are watching all the TV shows with you, they are doing all the normal things with you, they might as well give you dishes to wash, because you're not dedicated enough. But then if you start working hard and they feel like they are bothering you by giving you chores, then you see, like some parents can tell that, okay, it looks like you are very much serious with your studies, therefore let us do these chores and leave her to study. But then if you can't expect, your family to treat you differently if you're still acting the same way, you're not
Yeah,
showing any dedication, because now
sure.
it looks like an excuse. You don't
Yeah,
want to wash dishes, but you want to
yeah.
watch Skim Sam.
But
It doesn't make
you're on
sense.
TikTok the whole time. Of
Exactly,
course.
it doesn't
And,
make
you're
sense.
not watching with Dr. End, you know? You are just me.
Exactly. Yeah, just scrolling. So I think the first thing, um, for you to make your parent understand, you need to act serious. You need to
Yeah.
show dedication when it comes to your work. Um, but in my experience, I've been like a dedicated, student. But when it got to matric, my mom took over, some roles that I used to do, like some chores. For an example, she would do the dishes, she would cook dinners every time,
When
and she
Nana.
would go as far as washing my uniform. That's so nice. She would wash my uniform, and she'd come to my room with it hanged, my tunic hanged, and everything was just ready for me. And that showed me that she's supporting me in every way possible, that she knows that every minute counts. Because I would even minimize the time that I sleep, because I'm trying to make every minute count. So she saw my dedication, and she was like, you know what, let me help her in the best way possible. So as a parent, if you can, um, I mean, sometimes parents also work hectic jobs, some work
Sure.
night shifts and stuff like that. So it's not every parent that has the luxury to be able to do everything on their own. We just have to take account of that. But if you can, it's within your means to be able to prepare the dinner, or other siblings, if they are in lower grades or they are older than the one who's in matric, maybe
Yeah.
let them, do the dishes, let them cook. Help her with doing the laundry.
Yeah.
It's really 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 helpful, because in matric, each and everything stresses you,
Yeah. Yeah.
you don't want to even thinking about making dinner. You're like, yo, it's gonna take an hour. With this hour, I could have
I could
finished
have, yeah.
a
Yeah.
video from
Yeah.
Lungis and Kosi right now. You see, it's stuff like that. So every hour does count. So
Yeah.
if you can try and help, take away responsibilities from a matric student, it will be really helpful. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Number two, please provide them with the resources that they need if you can. And I feel like this should have been a topic in the beginning of the year. If she's asking for a textbook that is useful, that they are recommending at school, please buy the textbook.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately in matric you have to make sacrifices. It's not like other grades where you can, like, oh, can't you borrow from your friend, or can't you, don't take shortcuts. If he's asking for that study guide, even if it's expensive, try and get her that study
And
guide,
provide.
or him that study guide. And if
Yeah.
they want that calculator, that casio that is expensive, we know it's expensive, but it's going to help them when it comes to their exams. Make sure that they get the study materials that they need.
Yeah.
Another thing was that actually in my school, you were required to attend camps as a matric student. So we had trial camps and final camps, right? But then the thing is, when I attended the camp, I attended the first camp, which was the trial camp. They made us do chores. They made us clean where we sleep. They made us, pack. We were sleeping in a exam room, which was a hall, the hall that we were using to write exams. So we have to wake up at 4 a.m., make your bed and all of that, clean the hall, pack the tables and the chairs so that everything looks, normal before 7. So now we'd find ourselves very, very exhausted because of this thing. But then, because my mom was very much, supportive of me, she knew how much I was struggling with this camp and went to talk to the principal about it. And went to ask, like, you tell us to not, overwork our children at home, but then you call them here and do the opposite thing. So she took me out of that camp because she was like, if I was able to perform on my own before the camp, why do I need to attend the camp now to perform? You see?
So that's a very good point. That's a very good point. I've heard people making excuses and saying, yeah, I can't attend the camp Yako. I want to, but my child is attending a camp somewhere else. At their school, they say it's compulsory. But but you find, and please, I'm not trying to criticize, né? But I mean, if they've been attending those camps, and those camps have not helped by this time, and you're still taking your child to the very same thing that has not been able to help. Sometimes I just wonder, Guti, I'm not sure what we hope for, but nonetheless, I think that's a that's a separate topic for another day. Very good one. That's a very, very good one. Sometimes people stay. We are born, Guti, there's a problem here, but you still continue with the same thing and hope for different results. So I think that's a very good point. And
it's very important.
Okay, yes, go ahead.
The last important point is that it's very important as a parent to communicate with your child. Ask them, how are you doing at school? What are you studying? What are they teaching you? And I think because my mom is in the education space, it was very much, easier for her to be able to support me in that way. But then any parent should be able to do this. Because you'd ask your child and they'll tell you that they'll tell you that my maths teacher during maths period they don't come to class. They're in MATRIC, by the way. My maths teacher doesn't come. You as a parent should go and meet the principal and say the maths teacher is not coming because it's affecting your child. But then if you do not ask those type of questions, the children don't usually voluntarily, give you that type of information. They just close themselves in their rooms and try and study. But then you need to ask, how are you doing in this subject? Are you coping? And try and give support, where you can. Because it doesn't help as a parent to be like, oh, you got level 3s, you are playing, I need to see better. But like, how are you helping the child to get better? Ask them, how can I help you? Then they will tell you, oh, please buy me the study guide. Oh, I've heard that there's a tutor somewhere, please take me to that tutor. Or please go talk to my principal that I don't want to attend this camp. So you as a parent as well should participate actively, because both of you are actually in MATRIC at this point. If she is complaining that camp is not good for her, even if it's compulsory, they are not going to kill your child for not attending a camp.
Absolutely.
They are not going to kill your child for not attending a camp. You need to do what's best for them, because a camp really affected me. I remember I was falling asleep in the exam. It has never happened to me before, and I was really, really struggling. So it's not a one shoe fits all when it comes to this thing. Some people, the people who lack discipline, the people who don't study at home, or maybe at home it's not a good study environment, there's a lot of you, there's noise, then maybe camp can work for you, right? But then if you've been a good performer all along and you've been able to study on your own, what makes you think now you need to be locked in a school 24/7 in order for you to perform better? So I think also, like, you need to have you need to back up your argument when it comes to a camp and say, I've been a top performing student and I don't want to attend camp because I can do this on my own. But then you can't go there with, level 1s and say, I don't want to attend camp. You get what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. I think Andy, I think this is a very good point to leave it at. that we actually need to take active participation into the interest and into our learners' interest, into our children's interest. They give us feedback, and we need to take that feedback and do something about it. If it's within our means to be able to get them additional help, so be it. But I mean, there are other platforms, there are YouTube channels, there are other resources that are out there that can be able to help. I think for me, just the one thing that we can take away from this is that, just take the necessary steps. Don't repeat the same thing and expect different results. I think I want to leave it here, Andy. And this has been such an enlightening conversation, eh? Really such an enlightening conversation. Guess what? You live this thing every day.
Yeah. I really did enjoy it. Maybe we can take one last question.
Yeah. Let's see if there's.
Maybe you can take one last question and then we close it.
Okay. I can't see anything perhaps that's worth. How long should we study? How long?
No, not those kind of questions.
No.
Those ones.
Ish.
Those ones are tricky.
Yeah, no, that's a very tricky question to answer, because I think it really requires that we go in depth. Let's see. Do you advise a learner who is lazy to study? What can you advise a learner who is lazy? Stop being lazy. How?
At this point, I think feel like do because
yeah, no,
I can't help you.
I think looking at the questions, Maths paper 2 gives me a lot of anxiety. So for those who are struggling with Maths paper 2, as I did say, there is quite a lot of playlists as well on my channel. Please, you can go there. But as I said, we've got a camp that's coming up. We'll be doing quite a lot of paper 2 in both physical science and maths. So maybe you want to be a part of that and join us. And not necessarily that I'm trying to promote the camp itself, but guys, all we are trying to do, I think we do our best, and I give as much as I possibly can. If you look at our videos, yours, mine, other content creators as well, we really try our best, to help people, whether be it from under-resourced communities or from people who have the means. Everyone can benefit using our platforms. And yeah, so I really want to leave it here, Andy, and thank you so much. Even though I was meant to host you, now you are hosting me. Thank you.
As long as it happened. As long as it happened.
It's a conversation.
I'm happy.
Yeah, the people who are meant to benefit will benefit. I saw someone saying that we need to save this conversation. Definitely. I think it might be saved on your side, though.
I hope so.
Yeah. So just look out for it. I think that is it from my side. From me, who was meant to host, giving it back to our awesome Dogotela. Actually, ngizokubiza ngodokotela omkhulu waseGoli.
Wow.
When you move to Joburg. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys.
Says, thank you, guys.
Thank you for joining us. I hope this was very useful. I see your questions. Most of them are answered by our YouTube videos. So if you type the exact question that you have, I promise you our videos are going to come up. So do try that. We do acknowledge your questions, but we do not have time to answer each and every one of you. But yeah, thank you so much for joining, and I wish you all the best with your MATRIC exams. Keep an eye on both our platforms, as you post videos to help you prepare for the exams. But also do watch all the old videos. If you have to watch them 10 times until you master it,
yes, please.
Do what you must. But other than that, we'll see you on our platforms, guys. All the best.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.